The invitations had said housewarming, but my family treated the evening like something else entirely. I should have noticed the shift earlier. The way people lingered in certain rooms. The way relatives I hadn't seen in years suddenly had strong opinions about the square footage, the backyard, the extra bedroom upstairs. Plenty of space, my uncle had said while running his hand across the kitchen counter, as if he were evaluating property instead of visiting family. At first, I assumed it was harmless curiosity. When someone in the family finally does well, people want to see what that looks like. But as the evening went on, a pattern started forming. My cousin mentioned that housing prices had become impossible. My aunt talked about how difficult it was for young families to find stability. My mother laughed and said, "Well, at least someone in the family got lucky." Lucky. The word stayed with me longer than the others. This house had taken 10 years of careful decisions. Overtime shifts, saying no to vacations. Watching friends buy things I couldn't afford yet. Luck was a simpler story. By the time dessert was served, the living room had filled with people holding glasses. Someone turned the music down. My older brother stood up first. "All right," he said, lifting his glass. "We should probably say something." Everyone smiled. This part was normal. Toasts happen at these things. He talked about how proud the family was. About how far I had come. About how the house showed what hard work could do. For a moment, I believed the speech would stay there. But then his tone shifted slightly, almost casually. "And honestly," he continued, "this house is big enough for more than one person. And family should help family." A few people nodded immediately. He gestured toward my cousin and his wife sitting near the staircase. "They've been struggling to find a place," he added. "So we were thinking, maybe it makes sense for this house to stay in the family. Maybe you could transfer it to them." The sentence landed gently, like a suggestion. But the room reacted as if the idea had already been approved. Someone laughed, someone else clapped lightly. My mother smiled in that quiet, satisfied way people do when a conversation is finally going where they planned. I felt every eye move toward me. For a moment, no one spoke. The silence stretched just long enough for people to realize I wasn't immediately agreeing. I stood slowly, glass still in my hand. My brother looked confident, my cousin looked hopeful. I nodded toward my brother. "Thank you for the toast," I said calmly. My voice sounded steadier than I felt. "And you're right about one thing," I continued. "Family should help family." A few people relaxed. They thought they knew where this was going. "But there's something important I should clarify." I placed my glass down on the table beside me. "This house wasn't luck," I said quietly. "It was 10 years of planning, contracts, and financial responsibility." The room stayed still. "And because of that," I continued, "everything about this property was arranged very carefully before tonight." My brother frowned slightly. I kept my voice even. "The ownership structure, the legal protections, the financial agreements, they're all finalized." Someone shifted in their seat. "I made sure," I said, "that this house cannot be transferred, pressured, or negotiated away in a moment like this." The words weren't loud. But they carried. My cousin looked down at the floor. My mother's smile faded slowly, like someone dimming a light. I wasn't angry. That surprised even me. I just felt clear. "This home belongs to me," I continued. "Not because I'm selfish, because I'm responsible for it." No one interrupted. "If I ever decide to help someone in this family," I said, "it will be my choice." Quietly, privately, not because I was cornered into it during a toast. The room stayed silent, not hostile, just reorganizing. My uncle suddenly became very interested in his drink. Two relatives near the doorway started whispering about the backyard again. The moment had passed. My brother cleared his throat and forced a small laugh. "Well," he said, lifting his glass again, "I guess that settles that." A few people chuckled politely. The music came back on a minute later. Conversations restarted in smaller clusters. carefully avoiding the subject that had just filled the room. I walked toward the kitchen and leaned against the counter for a moment. Through the doorway, I could see people moving through the house again. Talking. Eating. Pretending the evening had always been normal, but something had changed, not dramatically. No one apologized. No one argued. But the assumption that my success belonged to everyone else had quietly disappeared. Later that night, when most of the guests were leaving, my cousin paused at the door. He didn't look angry, just thoughtful. "Nice place," he said softly. "Thanks," I replied. He nodded once and stepped outside. When the door finally closed and the house went quiet again, I walked through the living room slowly. The same walls, the same furniture. But the space felt different now. Not bigger, just clearer. And for the first time that night, the house felt completely like mine.